Yemen, a country located in the Arabian Peninsula, is currently facing one of the gravest humanitarian crises of our time. However, despite the magnitude of the suffering endured by the Yemeni people, it seems to go largely unnoticed by the international community. This video aims to shed light on the dire situation in Yemen and explore the reasons behind the global indifference. The ongoing conflict in Yemen has resulted in widespread devastation and has pushed the country to the brink of collapse. Political instability, economic challenges, and social divisions have all contributed to the escalation of the crisis. Yemen's suffering is not limited to one particular aspect but encompasses a range of interconnected issues. Perhaps the most alarming consequence of the conflict is the severe humanitarian impact on Yemeni civilians. Famine, disease outbreaks, and lack of access to healthcare have become widespread, leaving millions of people on the verge of starvation and in desperate need of assistance. The toll on children is especially distressing, with reports of malnutrition and preventable diseases claiming innocent lives. Despite the severity of the situation, the international response to the Yemen crisis has been inadequate. While some nations and organizations have provided humanitarian aid, the scale of the crisis requires a more robust and sustained effort. Challenges such as political complexities, security risks, and limited resources hinder the effective delivery of aid, exacerbating the suffering of the Yemeni people. Moreover, the lack of media coverage and public awareness surrounding Yemen's plight contributes to the general apathy towards the crisis. The Yemeni conflict often takes a backseat to other global events, resulting in a lack of understanding and empathy among the general population. Raising awareness about the situation is crucial in mobilizing support and generating meaningful action. Yemen is dying, and it is disheartening that the world seems to be turning a blind eye. The introduction of this article serves as a wake-up call to the dire circumstances faced by the Yemeni people. In the subsequent sections, we will delve deeper into the root causes of Yemen's suffering, explore the humanitarian impact of the conflict, examine the international response, and discuss the role of media in raising awareness. It is our hope that by understanding the complexities of the Yemen crisis, we can collectively work towards finding solutions and alleviating the suffering of this devastated nation. Background on the Yemen crisis. To understand why Yemen is currently in a state of devastation and suffering, it is crucial to examine the background and context of the Yemeni crisis. The roots of the crisis can be traced back to a series of political, social, and economic factors that have plagued the country for decades. Yemen, a country located in the Arabian Peninsula, has long struggled with political instability and a lack of strong governance. The unification of North Yemen and South Yemen in 1990 brought together two distinct regions with different political ideologies, leading to deep-seated divisions. The subsequent years were marked by political power struggles, weak institutions, and frequent changes in leadership, creating an environment of uncertainty and fragility. In 2011, Yemen experienced widespread protests as part of the Arab Spring movement, demanding political reforms and greater democratic representation. The protests resulted in the resignation of then-President Ali Abdullah Saleh, but the power vacuum and political unrest that followed allowed various factions to assert their influence. This led to the escalation of conflict and the emergence of multiple armed groups competing for control. The situation in Yemen worsened significantly in 2014 when the Houthi rebel group, aligned with Iran, seized control of the capital, Sana'a. This triggered a military intervention led by a Saudi Arabia-led coalition in support of the internationally recognized Yemeni government. The conflict has since escalated, leading to a protracted and devastating war. The Yemeni crisis is not solely a result of political factors. Economic challenges, including high unemployment rates, widespread poverty, and limited access to basic services, have further exacerbated the suffering of the Yemeni people. The economy has been heavily dependent on oil, but declining oil revenues and mismanagement have crippled the country's financial stability. The combination of political instability, economic struggles, and armed conflict has resulted in a catastrophic humanitarian situation. The Yemeni people are caught in the crossfire, enduring the consequences of the war, including airstrikes, blockades, and a collapse of essential infrastructure such as healthcare facilities and schools. The background of the Yemen crisis reveals a complex web of political, economic, and social challenges that have contributed to the country's current state of suffering. The next sections of this article will explore the root causes of Yemen's suffering, the humanitarian impact of the conflict, the international response, and the role of media in raising awareness. By examining these aspects, we can gain a comprehensive understanding of the Yemeni crisis and advocate for urgent action to alleviate the suffering of its people. Root causes of Yemen's suffering. The suffering of Yemen, a nation facing one of the gravest humanitarian crises of our time, is not a result of a single cause but a culmination of various interconnected factors. To understand why Yemen is dying and why it seems to go unnoticed by the world, we must examine the root causes of its profound suffering. Political instability. Yemen has a history of political instability and weak governance. Factionalism, power struggles, and the absence of a strong central authority have hindered the country's ability to address social and economic challenges effectively. Economic challenges. Yemen's economy has long been dependent on oil revenues, but declining oil prices and mismanagement have severely impacted the nation's financial stability. High unemployment rates, widespread poverty, and limited access to basic services have further exacerbated the suffering of the Yemeni people. Regional and sectarian divisions. Yemen's complex sectarian and regional divisions have contributed to the escalation of the crisis. The Houthi rebels, backed by Iran, have seized control of significant territories, leading to a violent conflict with the internationally recognized government. This has further fueled tensions and hindered efforts to find a peaceful resolution. Proxy war dynamics. The Yemeni conflict has become a proxy war, with regional powers supporting opposing sides. The involvement of external actors, including Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates, has intensified the conflict and prolonged the suffering of the Yemeni people. Human rights abuses. The warring factions in Yemen have been accused of committing serious human rights abuses, including indiscriminate bombings, targeting of civilians, and blockades that restrict access to food, medicine, and humanitarian aid. These violations have resulted in significant civilian casualties and widespread suffering. Environmental challenges. Yemen also faces environmental challenges, including water scarcity and desertification. These factors, combined with the ongoing conflict, have disrupted agriculture and exacerbated food insecurity, leading to a severe famine crisis. The combination of these root causes has created a perfect storm of suffering in Yemen. The consequences are devastating, with millions of Yemeni people facing hunger, disease, displacement, and a lack of access to essential services. While the situation in Yemen remains dire, the international response has been insufficient to address the scale of the crisis. In the next sections of this video, we will explore the humanitarian impact of the conflict, the challenges faced by the international community in responding, and the role of media in raising awareness. By understanding the root causes of Yemen's suffering, we can strive for meaningful action and support efforts to alleviate the humanitarian crisis that continues to unfold in this war-torn nation. Humanitarian impact of the conflict. The ongoing conflict in Yemen has unleashed a devastating humanitarian crisis, with profound consequences for the Yemeni people. As the world turns a blind eye, it is essential to shed light on the humanitarian impact of the conflict and the urgent need for action. Famine. Yemen is facing one of the world's worst hunger crises. The conflict has disrupted agriculture, destroyed infrastructure, and hindered food production and distribution. As a result, millions of Yemenis are experiencing severe food insecurity, with children being the most vulnerable to malnutrition and starvation. Disease outbreaks. The breakdown of healthcare systems and sanitation infrastructure has led to the spread of preventable diseases. Cholera, diphtheria, and measles have surged, endangering the lives of Yemeni civilians, especially children. Lack of access to clean water and sanitation facilities further exacerbate the risk of disease transmission. Displacement and refugees. The conflict has forced millions of Yemenis to flee their homes, seeking safety and refuge elsewhere within the country or crossing borders to neighboring countries. The displacement crisis compounds the strain on resources and adds to the already dire humanitarian situation. Healthcare system collapse. Yemen's healthcare system has been crippled by the conflict. Hospitals and clinics have been damaged or destroyed, medical supplies are scarce, and healthcare workers face immense challenges in providing adequate care to those in need. The lack of healthcare infrastructure exacerbates the risks faced by the population, particularly in times of disease outbreaks. Education disruption. The conflict has severely disrupted education in Yemen. Schools have been damaged or used for military purposes, and teachers and students face ongoing threats to their safety. This disruption not only denies children their right to education but also contributes to the long-term consequences of a generation deprived of learning opportunities. The humanitarian impact of the conflict in Yemen is catastrophic, with millions of lives at stake. While some humanitarian organizations and nations have provided assistance, the scale of the crisis demands a more comprehensive and sustained international response. Urgent action is needed to alleviate the suffering and address the immediate needs of the Yemeni people. In the next sections of this article, we will delve into the international response to the Yemen crisis, the challenges faced by aid organizations, and the role of media in raising awareness. By understanding the profound humanitarian impact of the conflict, we can advocate for increased support, mobilize resources, and work towards bringing an end to the suffering in Yemen. International response and challenges. The humanitarian crisis in Yemen demands a robust international response, but unfortunately, the world's attention and assistance have fallen short. Understanding the complexities and challenges of the international response to the Yemen crisis is crucial to addressing the urgent needs of the Yemeni people. Humanitarian aid. Various international organizations and nations have provided humanitarian aid to Yemen, including food, medical supplies, and financial support. However, the scale of the crisis surpasses the available resources, and funding gaps remain a significant challenge. Access and delivery. The conflict has created significant challenges in accessing and delivering humanitarian aid. Insecurity, bureaucratic obstacles, and restrictions imposed on the movement of goods have hindered the timely and efficient delivery of assistance to those in need, particularly in remote and conflict-affected areas. Political complexities. The Yemeni conflict is intertwined with regional and international power dynamics, making it challenging to achieve a consensus and find a lasting political solution. Political divisions and the involvement of multiple actors have complicated efforts to resolve the conflict and coordinate an effective international response. Security risks. The security situation in Yemen poses risks to humanitarian workers and impedes their ability to reach affected communities. Attacks on aid workers, airstrikes, and the presence of armed groups further compound the challenges faced in providing assistance and protection to the Yemeni population. Lack of sustainable solutions. While humanitarian aid is essential for addressing immediate needs, a long-term solution is required to bring stability and end the suffering in Yemen. This necessitates diplomatic efforts, peace negotiations, and a commitment to addressing the root causes of the conflict, including political grievances, economic challenges, and regional tensions. Global indifference. One of the significant challenges facing the international response to the Yemen crisis is the lack of sustained attention and support from the global community. Yemen often takes a backseat to other global crises, and media coverage and public awareness are limited, resulting in a lack of pressure on governments and international organizations to take decisive action. Addressing the challenges faced by the international response to the Yemen crisis requires collective efforts and political will. It is crucial for nations, organizations, and individuals to advocate for increased funding, improved access, and sustained commitment to finding a political solution. Raising awareness about the severity of the crisis and its impact on the Yemeni people is equally vital in mobilizing public support and pressuring decision-makers to prioritize Yemen's plight. In the subsequent sections of this article, we will explore the role of media in raising awareness, the importance of public engagement, and the potential pathways forward to address the challenges and bring an end to the suffering in Yemen. By understanding the complexities of the international response, we can work towards a more effective and compassionate approach to supporting the Yemeni people in their time of dire need. The role of media in raising awareness. The crisis in Yemen continues to unfold, leaving millions of people suffering, yet it often remains overlooked on the global stage. In the face of this humanitarian catastrophe, the role of media in raising awareness about Yemen's plight is more critical than ever. Shining a spotlight. Media plays a crucial role in bringing attention to neglected crises such as Yemen. By highlighting the dire situation and sharing compelling stories of the Yemeni people, media outlets can capture the attention and empathy of the global audience. Raising public awareness. Through extensive coverage and reporting, media can educate the public about the complexities of the Yemen crisis, including its root causes, humanitarian impact, and the urgent need for action. By creating public awareness, media can mobilize support and prompt individuals to engage with the issue. Holding governments accountable. Media serves as a watchdog, monitoring the actions of governments and international organizations in responding to the Yemen crisis. By exposing gaps in the international response and holding decision-makers accountable, media can push for more robust and sustained efforts to alleviate the suffering in Yemen. Amplifying voices. Media platforms provide a space for the voices of Yemeni civilians, aid workers, and activists to be heard. Through interviews, first-hand accounts, and documentaries, media can humanize the crisis and give a platform to those directly affected, fostering empathy and understanding among the global audience. Influencing policy. Media coverage has the power to influence policy agendas and shape political discourse. By consistently reporting on Yemen and highlighting the urgent need for action, media can pressure governments and international bodies to prioritize the Yemeni crisis and allocate resources accordingly. Social media and citizen journalism. The rise of social media platforms and citizen journalism has further democratized the dissemination of information. Individuals can share news, personal stories, and appeals for assistance, helping to bypass traditional media gatekeepers and raise awareness on a global scale. Media outlets have a responsibility to report on the Yemen crisis ethically, accurately, and with sensitivity. It is crucial to go beyond the headlines and provide in-depth analysis, contextualizing the complexities of the conflict and its impact on the Yemeni people. In conclusion, the role of media in raising awareness about the crisis in Yemen is vital. By shining a spotlight on Yemen's suffering, raising public awareness, holding governments accountable, amplifying voices, influencing policy, and utilizing social media platforms, media can play a significant role in mobilizing support and generating the much-needed international attention and action to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Yemen.